Global warming continues to intensify, bringing about extreme weather conditions and challenging people's ability to adapt. Experts insist that managing these adverse effects require urgent attention and innovative solutions. Globally, from devastating hurricanes to prolonged droughts, the implications of these weather events are far-reaching, and Nigeria is not left out, as Nimet reels out predictions for the year 2024. From Nimet predictions, it is obvious that communities must prioritize resilient measures such as improved infrastructure and early warning systems to mitigate the impact of these visible global warming-induced weather extremes. Welcome to 30 Minutes on NTA News 24. Our focus is on Nimet 2024 predictions. I'm Lydia Sampson. Our first report by Stephen Wokolo takes a holistic look at the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET's released seasonal climate predictions for 2024. The predictions highlight the delayed onset of rains in some parts of the country, especially in the north-central states. Stephen interrogated the implication of delayed rainfall in these states along with other issues. Let's get the details from Stephen.
The Meteorological Agency of Nigeria, Nimet, is saddled with the responsibility of monitoring the weather conditions and gives accurate information on how to manage the weather conditions in the country. The release of its forecast for the year 2024 offers insights into weather patterns and trends across the nation. This year's release, which predicts the delay in the rainfall, particularly in the north-central region, has, however, raised concerns and prompted closer examinations.
Talking about climate change, we know what is responsible about climate change is human, induced activities that change the climate. But the distortion to the climate system is when the global temperature rises, the pressure system changes, and then everything changes. The climate changes and it affects everything.
The rain patterns, maybe the rainfall volume, the length of the season, it also varies. In some areas, it could be a little bit extended, but majority is going to be a little bit contracted. So those are critical issues that we will have to look at to enable decision making.
Let me begin by thanking Nimet for alerting the country of the impending delay in rainfall. Now, sometimes it happens the way they so predicted. In other cases, there just could be little variations here and there. But for me, whether we like it or not, climate change is here, and you and I have to live with it. Thank God for technology that can kind of inform us well ahead of time that this is likely what will happen. So, how do we circumvent this whole prediction? We need to go back to the drawing table and see how we can strategize. Where will this strategy mostly lean on? It's in the field of agriculture. As far as the field of agriculture is concerned, we need to see how best we can give credence to all-year farming. The current administration has a kind of given impetus into that. We also need to see, as far as climate change is concerned, if we can begin to develop and grow seeds, develop seedlings that will also be drought resistant.
The delay in the rainfall this year, especially in the north-central part of Nigeria, has been attributed to various meteorological factors. According to Nimet, atmospheric conditions such as the persistence of dry air masses and delayed onset of the West African monsoon have contributed to the delay in rainfall.
After this event, NEMA will be bringing together technical experts from Nimet and other relevant agencies to analyze the disaster risk implications of the seasonal climate prediction.
This is only helpful in planning, so it gives us hope.
The implication of this delay are significant, particularly for agriculture, which is a primary source of livelihood for many in the affected regions. Farmers rely heavily on seasonal rainfall patterns to plan and execute their planting activities. The delay in the rainfall can disrupt planting schedules, leading to potential crop failures and reduce agricultural productivity.
Such information come as a warning, for people to take good measures to avoid the harsh effects of the climate change being experienced right now. However,
if we're looking at the nation's preparedness to be able to handle such situations, I am pretty confident that we have what it takes to be able to handle such situations. But you know, it's now left to the issue of if the will to do it is there. These are times that there will be increase in diseases, like especially for children, where you have cases of meningitis, where you have cases of rashes and what have you. And of course, in such extreme heat, bacteria is being built a lot more rapidly. So I would expect that health-wise, the nation will rise to the occasion.
We need to see how we can begin to harvest excess water as the rainfalls come. Because in the last previous years, we've had flooding, and most of this flooding, I'm afraid to say, we didn't take advantage of. Back in those days when we were in school, we were taught that anytime there was a flooding, the following rainy season tends to even do better. But you and I also know that the kind of flooding we are seeing now, it's really at its behest. It carries livestock away, it washes farmlands away, the topsoil is actually endangered and what have you. And hence, as far as I am concerned, I think as a country and as a people, we need to sit down, strategize and see how best we can harness our agricultural potentials. We live in a country where you literally can grow everything. We have some parts of the country that is temperate. We have some parts of the country that is hot. We have some parts of the country that is mild and what have you. All we need to do is sit down and see how we can give credence to, if it is plantation agriculture, we go that way. If it is irrigation, we go that way. If it is development of seeds, we go that way.
Furthermore, the delay in rainfall may also impact water resources, affecting water availability for domestic, agricultural, and industrial purposes. This underscores the importance of timely and accurate meteorological information in helping communities and policy makers prepare and adapt to changing weather conditions.
How do we respond? You know, government have always tried to mobilize people, either towards dry season farming, towards irrigation farming. But what are the attitudes of the people towards farming? I can tell you that the attitude of Nigerians towards farming is very, very poor. I've been on the farm myself, and I can tell you that from my own experience, some of the things that the policymakers do or say do not get down to the farmers. And at the end of the day, the farmers are just doing their best there, but not enjoying part of the policies that have been put in place by the government. So in this particular instance, as it has come now, the way it has come before, I think the issue is more with the attitude of Nigerians. Are we really ready? If the government is ready to mobilize us to go to the farm, are we really ready to go to the farm?
The government should quickly mitigate it by building dams. Although I'm thinking of the time of building dams, exigency. They should build dams, and it will equally compound the food situation we are having now, the food security situation we are having now. So I think the government should, in the short run, build dams so as to mitigate it. Do you understand? Not so that being the food basket of Nigeria.
Nimet's prediction, key players say, serves as a crucial working tool for various sectors of the economy, particularly agriculture, transportation, energy, and disaster management. Farmers can utilize Nimet forecasts to make informed decisions regarding crop selection, planting dates, and irrigation practices. As Nimet gives out this information to enable planning, how prepared are stakeholders to handle emergencies?
This kind of information comes so that the people themselves can actually take evasive measures, like stay hydrated, drink water all the time, then don't wear too heavy clothes, you know, to avoid the effects of heat when rain will not come on time. And then, of course, the farmlands will feel it too. the farmers may not. It's about the time that is usually the planting season, so the land will be harder to till, and so even crops growing right now may need extra measures like irrigation and what have you to be to salvage the situation.
That the equipment have been provided for them to make the predictions is also part of the preparations. That the predictions have actually been made is also part of the predictions. Sorry, is also part of the preparations. You get it? That the policy makers are going to be put on their toes to come up with policies that can mitigate the situation is part of the preparations. But how prepared are we Nigerians? How prepared are we? Because the onus lie on us. We are the ones that should go to the farm. We are the ones that will till the soil. We are the ones that will plant. How prepared are we?
Similarly, the transportation sector can leverage weather forecasts to anticipate and mitigate potential disruptions caused by adverse weather conditions such as heavy rainfall or thunderstorms. Energy providers can also optimize their operations based on anticipated weather patterns, ensuring efficient energy production and distribution. In essence, Nimet's predictions serve as a cornerstone for informed decision-making and planning across diverse fields of endeavors. By providing timely and accurate weather forecasts, Nimet empowers individuals, businesses, and policymakers to navigate and adapt to the dynamic weather patterns that characterize Nigeria's climate.
Well, as far as the policymakers are concerned, they need to call themselves together and see how best all stakeholders can contribute. The beauty of it is that there hardly is any sector of human endeavor, as far as humanity is concerned, that Nigerians don't have some form of expertise in. There hardly is any. So this should not really be a problem. All we need to do is see how we can harness our environmental factors, see how the Ministry of Agriculture can come, see how Nimet can serve as a guide, see how best, I'm trying to find out what environment, agriculture, Nimet, water resources, there's one more, how best we can kind of come together, sit down and harness a way forward. It's doable. It's nothing, we don't need to get worried about it. The beauty of it is that we already have the information, and hence there isn't much to worry about.
As the nation continues to monitor developments in weather patterns and their impacts, Nimet remains committed to delivering reliable meteorological information to the nation to enable everyone better understand and respond to the forces of nature.
The next report by Ibrahim Belogunda provides concise guide on managing the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET seasonal weather predictions. It highlights how crucial NIMET seasonal weather forecast is for planning and preparedness across all sectors. The report also provides insights on effectively managing the predictions as individuals and organizations, as well as educating the population on staying informed about how to use the NIMET predictions to plan for farming, traveling, adaptation strategies. Over to you, Ibrahim Belogunda.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET observe, analyze and provide timely weather report and climate information for all aspects of socio-economic development as a safety guide for lives and property, including health. This is in line with NIMET seasonal climate prediction annually in fulfillment of its statutory responsibility of advising government and people of Nigeria on all weather aspects. The 2024 seasonal climate predictions therefore released by NIMET for 2024 highlights expectations and concise guide for stakeholders on how best to utilize the weather forecast to their advantage in various fields like aviation, agriculture, health, construction, trade, and tourism, among others. For stakeholders, the concise guide as released is relevant for planning and preparedness in all sectors.
The NIMET seasonal climate predictions serve as early warning tools, and Early warning too simply means that all MDAs should prepare for the rainy season. And not just rainy season, you know that we are still in the dry season. However, the rains have started in some states of the Federation, but the onset for FCT is supposed to be in May. And the MDAs, like the health sector, disaster management, water resources, transport, and others, agriculture, will be affected in different ways. And FCT, Emergency Management Agency, being the coordinating agency on emergencies, what we normally do is immediately after the seasonal climate predictions, we put all our preparedness, come up with a response plan and everything, then see what we need to do that we were not doing before, an activity or a mitigative measure to be put in place on our response plan. Then reach out to our stakeholders.
It enables us to tell our farmers the crop type to use, because there are some crop types or seed types that withstand drought. Some also withstand flooding. And then some areas are flood prone. So if you plant, you can lose everything that you plant. In some areas, because some of the crops are very vulnerable, if there is drought, you lose all of it or what you plant. So for farmers to remain in the business, they have to be forewarned. Climate change is a phenomenon that we have all been in denial of, but the reality is that these rains that we are used to in the months of, say, March in some areas, now they are delayed or they come a bit earlier. And where there were no rains before, you find so much rain that there are floodings. Where there was no rain at all, today in those places you find there's a lot of rain. So it is very, very difficult not to do or to take measures to mitigate the effect of climate change. So it is very, very important that the farmers keep abreast of developments in this sector to be able to really prosper.
It's usually highlight the environmental and possible health risk that are associated with climate events within the year, and it is supposed to catalyze preparedness, especially in vulnerable communities, and also inform governments, in terms of what need to be prepared in terms of adaptations and mitigations, so that when these emergencies happen, nobody prays for them to happen, but if you put in the necessary safeguards, at least you are very sure that when they occur, the impact on the environment and livelihood is going to be substantially reduced. But in a case where this information is ignored, then people and governments have no excuse.
On effective management of predictions, as individuals and organizations in all sectors, stakeholders believe farmers can leverage on predictions, analysis of rainfall amount, soil moisture, farm practice, and plant phenology, which enable them to optimize planting schedule, water usage, and pest control strategies, ultimately to maximize yield.
What we get from the Nimet, we put on our platforms, and we are present in the 774 local governments. And the leaders of AFAN in the states and in the local governments will tell the grassroots farmers what they know and what they have heard from us in the languages that they understand.
In the agri sector, they have told them that the onset is supposed to be in May in the FCT. But since it has even started raining in February, we have advised them on the kind of seedlings, the kind of farm produce that they can plant between now and May. And when the rains become heavy, we also advise them on what they will plant, depending on the location of their farms.
It's important that we pay attention to these particular environmentally driven events, because our life and livelihoods depend on them. When you talk of droughts, where the rain cycle is contracted, you realize that you have to change the type of seeds that you grow, because the time for you to sow, tender and even harvest has been shortened. In some places in the far north, the growth cycle has been shortened to as little as 3 months. So if you are not creative in terms of seed selection, of course, if you want to grow your normal seeds that require maybe 4 or 5 months, you end up losing.
They speak on need for adaptation strategies, especially drinking enormous fluids, to counter negative impact of the scorching heat and sunstroke, as well as other predicted situations through healthy and proactive measures.
The change in the climate affected almost everybody. In the health sector, we have outbreak of epidemic like the cholera, meningitis. So we advised them. We told them to make sure they have a cross ventilation. The issue of cholera, keeping your environment very clean, watch your defecation, open defecation. They have to stop doing open defecations.
If a farmer knows that the rains will be short, they will now put or buy seeds that will become crops in the shortest possible time. Take maize, for instance. There is a maize seed type that you can harvest within 90 days. Otherwise, normally the gestation period is 120 days.
On minimizing risk and maximizing opportunities, they are optimistic that with strategic measures and effective planning options available, only those who are careless or refuse to do the needful will be caught unaware.
What we have told farmers is to adhere to the advice from Nimet, because it is very, very important. It is very crucial to what we get as farmers from the land. Once you do not subscribe to these information pieces that come, you are likely to get into trouble. In some places, you will plant and what you plant will be washed away. In some places, you will plant and what you plant will dry out, so you have nothing. So you go back into abject poverty. But what we want for every farmer is to even do that as a business. We want to see prosperity among the farmers. And so information is key to getting there. In fact, agriculture now is knowledge and technology. So a lot of what happens today should rely on information. And this, what we get from Nimet, is good, vital information.
Earlier on, we use the town criers. We have volunteers, disaster marshals, volunteers, and vanguards, local divers, cut across the 6 area councils. We have trained them. We have carried out simulation exercise, drills. We have put them through. And day in, day out, they in turn create awareness. We have been able to utilize this seasonal climate predictions warning tool in the FCT.
It is expected that stakeholders will utilize information at their disposal to positively and effectively manage situations affecting their fields as they continue to unfold. This could be in health, education, agriculture, aviation, transportation, tourism, among others, for the overall good of humanity.
Now, with both day and night temperature expected to be warmer than the long-term average over the years, experts believe Nimet's seasonal climate prediction can serve as a decision-supporting tool for climate-sensitive sectors of the economy to proactively deepen emergency preparedness for extreme weather events and collaboration with local authorities, communities, and relevant agencies to coordinate responses to weather-related challenges in all sectors to minimize risks and maximize opportunities. Thanks for watching. Please stay cool and hydrated as the weather condition persists. See you next time.